Okay, this is English 373, week 14, part 7. There are some other characters. There are two other characters, and this is really more complicated, and you don't really need this, but there are two other characters who are similar to Jesus and Socrates and Dogberry in fiction that really interest me a lot. And one of them is a movie that almost no one has seen. I highly recommend it. It's called Being There. It's a movie from 1977 with Peter Sellers. I don't really like a lot of comedy, but Being There is my favorite comedy. Well, maybe my second favorite comedy after Some Like It Hot, but it's an extraordinary movie. I mean, it's quite amazing. So I would certainly highly recommend that. But Being There is, again, a character. It features a character who, like Socrates and Jesus and Dogberry, seems like a complete idiot, but actually might be sort of secretly smart. He's a holy fool. The other place you see this is in Twin Peaks. The third season of Twin Peaks features a character who is in most of the episodes and is a complete idiot. But again, always kind, always nice. There's something interesting in here. These characters suggest something. You're in college and you're in a Shakespeare class, which means it's all about being smart. But there's something about Jesus and Socrates and Dogberry and Dougie from Twin Peaks and Chauncey Gardner from Being There that suggests, and actually I would add to this, Bottom from Midsummer Night's Dream. If you know Midsummer Night's Dream, he's another character like this. Someone who seems stupid and is actually quite wise and amazing. Yeah, okay. And Midsummer Night's Dream features, actually I'm kind of tempted to grab that now that I'm like wrapping up class. I should probably be stopping, but now that I've opened this up, I'm pulling out my copy of Midsummer Night's Dream to kind of read one of the big last speeches in here. But Bottom in Midsummer Night's Dream is a very similar kind of character. Bottom he's like a dumb working class guy. And he gets to see all these fairies and magical creatures in the woods, and then when he wakes up, he thinks it was all a dream. He doesn't know, he's not sure, was that real? Did that happen? And he says, I have had a most rare vision. I have had a dream past the wit of man to say what dream it was. He says, the eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen, man's hand is not able to taste, his tongue to conceive, nor his heart to report what my dream was. I will get my friend to write a ballad of this dream. What he's saying here is gibberish. It doesn't make any sense. The eye hath not, he says, the eye of man hath not heard. Eyes don't hear. That's ears. The ear of man hath not seen. No, see, he flipped up eyes and ears. He's thinking that eyes hear and ears see. It's not right. Man's hand is not able to taste. Nope, he flipped it up again. And his tongue to conceive, nor his heart to report. He's got all the body parts mixed up. He's misremembering a quote from the Bible. So he's not super smart. But he's so excited that he's so excited about this dream he has, and he wants to say, like, it's impossible to describe. But the way he says it is that the eye of man hath not heard and the ear of man hath not seen. And this is a messed up version of a quote from the Bible. It's from Corinthians chapter 2. But he says he's going to have this dream. His name is Bottom. And he says, I will have this, I'm going to have my friend make a play about this dream. It shall be called Bottom's Dream because it hath no bottom. And that's one of my favorite jokes in all of Shakespeare. Because he says this crazy vision that he's had, like all the plays that we've read and watched this semester. He said, I've had this crazy vision. And I'm going to call it Bottom's Dream because it hath no bottom. It's a funny thing to say because bottom has two meanings. If something doesn't have a bottom, it means it doesn't have a foundation, which means it's going to collapse and fall down because it's gibberish. But the other meaning, if it doesn't have a bottom, it means it goes on forever and ever and ever to infinity. In which case, maybe, if something is bottomless, it's the most valuable thing that there is because it goes on forever. But it's impossible to know whether his dream is bottomless, meaning it doesn't have a foundation, it doesn't have a solid base, and so it's gibberish that's going to collapse, like a building would fall down if you built it on sand, or if it's of infinite value, and because it goes on forever and ever and ever. And that's a lot like the plays that we've spent this semester looking at. We've spent a lot of time caring about fictional worlds, and it's been bottomless. Meaning, on the one hand, none of it was real. None of these plays we looked at this semester were real in any way. They have no foundation in reality. On the other hand, they're bottomless because they're infinite. I feel like I could read these plays forever. I could just keep reading them over and over and over again and finding new things. So I don't know, it's something to think about. I think it's kind of a neat idea. And that was a little bit about the Holy Fool in two Shakespeare plays, Much Ado About Nothing and Midsummer Night's Dream. And by the way, if you're interested in Midsummer Night's Dream, there's a couple of great movies, one of which is from the late 90s, and it stars Christian Bale, of all people, is in Midsummer Night's Dream, and Michelle Pfeiffer, and Ally McBeal, if you know who that is. No reason to know who that is. That's a thing from the 90s. And there's a modern, updated version of Midsummer Night's Dream made by the BBC, starring Matt Lucas. I think it was made in 2017. It's got Matt Lucas and Maxine Peake, and it's one of my very favorite Shakespeare movies ever. So if you're interested in finding out more about Midsummer Night's Dream and about Much Ado About Nothing, I recommend you watch the movies. And that's 4 movies to watch right there, because there's 2 really good movies of Much Ado About Nothing, and there are 2 really good movies of Midsummer Night's Dream. So if you would like more Shakespeare, and you would like it where the characters are still alive at the end, I would highly recommend both of those, and both of them will give you some insight. And Dogberry and Bottom are 2 really interesting Shakespeare characters that are these kind of holy fools. That's something interesting. And if I had more time, I suppose I would have spent more time on it, but I just wanted to, I don't know, I just want to talk about something else, something happier than all of the misery and bloodshed and destruction that I brought into all of your lives in this Shakespeare class. Okay, so we're wrapping up here. I only have 2 more quick things to do. I think probably the next video will be the last. So in the final video of the semester, maybe I'll either do 1 or 2 more, but I'm almost done. In the final video of the semester, I'm going to read you a short story about Shakespeare that is only 2 pages long, 1 page long. And then I'm going to tell you about the secret of life, because I think you deserve to know what the secret of life is. Okay, cool. That's it. I will see you in the next video, and then we'll be just about done.